All right. We welcome back to the show, as always, dear friend and mentor, Newt Gingrich, former House Speaker and Fox News contributor. Newt, welcome back. So you heard the story, and I'm sure you've been following it, and you heard the riff, and you heard Lucas Tomlinson. What you thinking about this, Newt?
Well, let me first of all go back to your earlier story about SpaceX. Because what it really reminded me of, Larry, and you'll appreciate this. This is like in the middle of Victorian England, focusing on the wars with the Zulu or the wars with the Afghans, while back home, Britain was creating the modern, wealthy, industrial world. I mean, what's happened on a global basis is week after week, the Trump policies, which you've advocated since Reagan, of lower taxes, less regulation, more capital investment, it's working across the board despite the war. So let's start there. Second, I think the odds are now 80%, and for me, that's a big uptake from where I was. The odds are 80% that we are right on the edge of a genuine agreement. If that happens, and you've seen me write about this, if that happens, and Trump was capable of putting together a coalition which enabled him, after all these years, going all the way back to 1979, after all these years of presidents who failed, if he ends up in a situation where, in fact, the Iranians have agreed to be part of the larger world, the risk has been dramatically reduced, the oil has begun to flow, our allies realize that sticking with America works. I can't tell you how big, this is certainly comparable to Reagan taking on the Soviet Empire. This is one of the great presidential moments of modern times.
It changes history. It absolutely changes. It brings freedom. It brings the potential for great prosperity. And maybe, Newt, I mean, who knows? I don't know what all is in this, of course, and we won't know for a while. But the president has said that he wants our Gulf state allies who have not yet entered the Abraham Accords to enter the Abraham Accords and recognize Israel, and that it is even conceivable that Iran could be part of that. But if they're not, they're not. But that, too, it changes history. I mean, remember, Israeli freedom is a big part of this, and American freedom is, because, you know, those Iranian missiles reached a long way. We had no idea they could hit the Indian Ocean, 2,500 miles and so forth and so on. And by the way, it helps Europe, doesn't it? I mean, it virtually changes every part of the world. And I also think, Newt, it gives a signal to China. You know, don't mess with us. Don't mess with Taiwan. Don't be so militaristic, because it's not going to work in the modern age. You know, you talk about the Industrial Revolution. How about our military capabilities, Newt? That's a pretty good example of 21st century Industrial Revolution, don't you think?
Well, look, I think I remember back in the 1980s, Dick Wirthlin, who was Reagan's Holker, said to me one day, victory leads to victory. And it's very important for president to win, because it sets the stage for the next win. If President Trump, after all the beating he's taken, all of the fake news, all the Democrat hostile opposition, if he is able to calmly and methodically focus on getting this done, and he's able to deliver to the world an Iranian dictatorship which has agreed to be part of the larger world, has agreed to a set of rules that it has to obey, he will, in fact, in the Reagan tradition, have created a moment where, if you're the Saudis or a lot of other countries, and you think, do I want to be on the side of this guy who's winning or not? And I think it will increase Trump's ability to change the world even more if this, in fact, works out.
And I would think, Newt, look, politics always plays a role in all of this, and we have a midterm election coming. I think it's astonishing that virtually the entire Democratic Party, now there are some exceptions to that, Mr. Fetterman being one, there's some other exceptions, But basically, the leadership of the Democratic Party has opposed Trump tooth and nail in this Iranian war. And they're making a big mistake. And they politicize it. It's not like they disagreed with certain tactics, you know. There's always that during wartime. But they politicized the entire thing because Donald Trump was doing it. Well, if Donald Trump pulls this off, and as you say, 80% home, well, gee whiz, doesn't that change the political landscape in the United States?
Oh, I think within 6 or 8 weeks, you're going to see people talk about the coming Republican tidal wave. If, in fact, this works out the way I think President Trump hopes it will. And remember, what you've seen now with the Democratic leadership is basically a desire for the Iranians to win. I mean, I don't know of any occasion in American history where a political party, which in the end favored the anti-American opponent winning, has ever gained ground. And I think this is going to be a huge problem for them when this is over.
And already, you know, West Texas crude is today down to $84.50. It's down more than 20% from the peak. The 6-month futures market is $78. The 12-month futures is $73. That'll probably be, all those futures markets will be adjusting down. Gasoline prices have a $3 handle in half the country. Newt, by the time this, I know you were writing about this a while back, you're going to get your $3 gasoline pretty soon. Probably by Labor Day or so, it'll be $3.5. But honestly, you're going to get that. That's not the most important thing of this war and what it means to the world history and world politics, but it ain't nothing either.
Look, I'll guarantee you this, Larry, and we've known each other a long time. If we get down to something like $3 a gallon gasoline, outside, of course, of places like California where they're crazy and their taxes are absurd, but if we're down at around $3 a gallon by September, early October, you're going to see a Republican victory larger than any off-year victory since Thomas Jefferson. It's going to be an astonishing validation of where we are and where we're going, and an amazing repudiation of a Democratic Party, which frankly has both become crazy and has become stunningly anti-American in its core policies.
You know, Newt, let's just go back for 1 second. We got a few minutes left. Okay. This SpaceX thing with Elon Musk, okay, you know, I know. One of the highlights of my career, really, going back 25 years as a host, was my interview last 2 winters ago with Elon. SpaceX, just the whole thing, the AI revolution. What we're doing with advanced technologies, how we're applying advanced technologies, what we're doing with the energy revolution, you know, Trump's drill baby drill and deregulation and so forth. This country is barreling ahead, okay? We're coming to the 250th anniversary. July 4th is just coming up real fast. We are barreling ahead. Really, the numbers for the economy are good, but it's bigger than that. We are just barreling ahead, doing things that the rest of the world is not doing. It's not even close to doing. You look at our numbers, you look at our advances, you look at the stuff. We're going to have, so you know what? We'll have the world's first trillionaire. Okay, how's that? Just think about that. Elon Musk will be the world's first. He is, get ready for it, wait for it. He is an American. By the way, he's an immigrant to America legally. All right? Now, Elizabeth Warren may not like that, and Bernie Sanders may not like that, but that just tells you how great this country is now as we move towards July 4th, the 250th anniversary.
You know, first of all, I'm working now on a book called America's Golden Age, America in 2076. And as I did the research for the book, I was startled at the enormous advantages the American economy has. And as you know, I'm over here as a trailing spouse, and my wife Callista is the ambassador to Switzerland. And when we talk to Swiss business leaders, they don't have any doubt about it. They see the American economy, American entrepreneurs, the openness to people, whether they're Swiss or they're from South Africa like Elon, or they're from a dozen other countries, the ability to attract talent, to give it an opportunity, to find the money to finance it, to have the courage to go out, you know, and risk going broke, which is a key. People don't get this about free enterprise. You have to have the courage to go broke if you're going to try to have the courage to get rich. And so the result is you have the most dynamic, it's really amazing, The largest economy in the world is the most dynamic economy in the world. And I think this fall, for the Republicans and for President Trump, that's going to be an enormous advantage over the hard left weirdness of the modern Democratic Party.
I mean, people love that. People love prosperity. You know, one of my favorite, first of all, I want to repeat, he's an immigrant who became the first trillionaire, but he was a legal immigrant. That's point number one. Point number two, Newt, on the way out of this lovely segment, so great talking to you about this stuff. U.S. and China, yeah. So on a per capita basis, on a per person basis, the U.S. economy is $90 per person. All right, that's GDP per person. $90, actually slightly above. In China, on a per person basis, GDP is less than $14. Okay, $14,000. $90,000 and $14,000.
$90,000, not $90.
$90,000 per person here, less than $14,000 per person there. That's just one example.
Guess what, Larry? The gap's going to get wider. The gap's going to get bigger because the real innovation, the real excitement, the real opportunity is in the United States.
Yes, sir. Freedom and free enterprise will win again. Newt Gingrich, thank you ever so much, my dear friend. Appreciate it.